Hello and welcome back to Dicebreaker. We're here at PAX Unplugged 2022 and I'm joined by Jane from the Kinfire Chronicles team who has sponsored this video to tell us a little bit about how the game plays. Jane, what is Kinfire Chronicles?
Yeah, thank you, Wheels. Super glad to be here. Kinfire Chronicles is a 1 to 4 player cooperative campaign game designed by Kevin Wilson, who's done some games you might have heard of like Arkham Horror and Descent and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, if anybody's out there. But yeah, and then artwork, we have an amazing artwork team as well, and our art director is Katarzyna Radziuk. I apologize to Polish fans out there. It's challenging. They joined us from CD Projekt Red, worked on a bunch of amazing titles like The Witcher 3, Cyberpunk, and Gwent and Thronebreaker. So it's a great team, it's a great game, and I hope your audience would really like it.
Yeah, so what's the elevator pitch for how the game works?
Right, so two things I usually tell people about it is, one is we really try to design this game with the busy gamer in mind. I myself have a 5-year-old kid at home, so game time has really shrunk these days. But so the idea is it's quick to set up, right? So 15-minute setup, 15-minute breakdown, and the onboarding is really paced. So it's really designed for you to learn as you go versus somebody having to sit down and read hours and hours of rule books. And we really want you to learn and experience this with your friend to really have that, like, you can all sit down with the box, open it up, and kind of adventure through it together. And then the second thing I'd like to tell folks, and I think your audience would really enjoy this, enjoying role-playing games, but we really tried to emphasize the performance of the people at the table and the conversations above the table. Of course, we have great story written by also folks from Witcher 3 and Cyberpunk, and great art and a great design. But really all of our emphasis and focus was like, how do we get people talking? How do we get people connecting over the characters that they're performing as and the challenges that they're going through together?
So it sounds like the game is sort of split into two sort of distinct sections, kind of combat and roleplay. Do you want to talk to me a little bit about the combat first?
Yeah, so to talk about combat, before us, let's start with the characters, right? So I already picked out Valora for you and Naz for me. And all the characters, we have 6 playable characters for this one, like up to 4-player game. So there's a couple characters that you may not experience the first playthrough, but they're all asynchronously designed. So they all have kind of a highlight or a strength that works for them. So you'll notice on Valora, she's our ranger character. There's a color bar that comes with their kits, and the color bar will kind of describe what the content of their deck is. So you'll roughly notice that she's got a lot more green. Her middle color value is red, and she's got some blue. And she also has a passive ability, which you can read under her player card. And her passive is basically that when she moves into a space with no other ally, she can no enemy, she can give another ally an armor, right? And so that's really beneficial. It's, again, we're trying to highlight the cooperative nature of the game. Mm-hmm. And when you look at Naz, for example, so she's our orc tactician, so tactical players may really enjoy, like if you're the one that's constantly backseat driving your friends at the table, like this is your character. You can see the composition of her skills or her cards are a bit different. So she's got a lot more red. She's got her second cards are blue, and then she's got the least green. So they actually kind of complement each other. But her skill is basically whenever she is supposed to move during her turn, she can actually instead move somebody else at the table, or an ally at the table, I should say.
So what are so with the colors of the deck, what's the sort of split between the green, red, and blue? What sort of makes them unique from each other?
Yeah, so roughly your blue is kind of like your int and wisdom sort of thinky cards. Your red is going to be more of your, and this is red-green, so, but I guess this is a better red. So your red's going to be more of your power-based cards, and then your green is going to be more of your agility, dexterity kind of abilities. And as I showed earlier, we do have cards that have 2 colors, so red and green, or like blue and red. And these colors we've since adapted and added symbols to help with color blindness, but this being our prototype. But yeah, so those are the different colors. And so the idea is when you play in the game, you will usually play when it's my turn, I can move once before or after an action, and then I play an action card like that. And then you're able to boost this action then with a boost card from your deck that matches the same color, right? Mm-hmm. So if you look through your deck, and then try to find like a red or a blue boost. Yep, that.
Color matching one
perfect
as well,
match. Yes, so this would actually give 1 movement to this. Mm-hmm. So what's great is that, so this card, Inevitable, that's the name of my blade, you'll see why. It's a melee attack for 3 damage that would get aggro from the enemy. And it says I may move your target to your space before attacking. So this would be really useful. I could, for example, have the enemy, if we were like playing this match, right? I could have this, if this enemy was all the way over there, I can have the enemy move to my space. So that would save myself from having to do a movement. I would do three damage and get his aggro on me. And you would be boosting me with an additional movement. So there's a lot of different ways I could play that now because you gave me this optionality, like knowing my passive too, where I could actually grant you movement. I could probably just have you move twice, for example, into spaces with no enemies. And that would activate your passive, which is to grant the other person at the table armor.
Nice.
Right?
So there's a lot of sort of multi-layered strategic sort of depth going on.
Yes, and the fascinating part is like, again, this like, it's structured to really benefit from your performance at the table. And I've seen tables and groups where like, they're actually like kind of fighting each other in a weird way. It's supposed to be a co-op game, but like, you have the option to give me armor, but you could be like, nah, right? And it's totally your option to do that. You're not actually forced to by the game. And so it's like, and that might fit your character if you want to get really into the role-playing aspect of it. You're like, no, actually, like we fought last night and you were a jerk, so you're not going to get my armor.
Nice.
Now, do you want to do that? Do you want to risk the battle? I don't know, but like that's kind of real life, right?
That sounds like the kind of petty thing I do, yeah.
Yeah.
So we spoke briefly about before we started. There's like a sort of like getting back into town section as well, right? So that kind of pushes us between these sort of combat sections. So do you want to talk briefly about that as well?
Yeah, sure. And okay, so a lot of the story, to talk about the story real quick too, is card-based, right? And the reason why we did that is like there's a little bit of drama that happens with the cards that we think is cool. But as you go through the story phases of things, there's different cards that have skill checks, little narrative mini games that may be in it. You'll come across these conundrums sometimes, conundrum cards, for example, which are basically like group decisions that you have to make. So you and I would have to agree on what choice we're about to make. And this can have repercussions for like how our gameplay goes. But ultimately, when you play through the game, the story mode, it'll kind of dictate the layout of your battle, for example. So here's 2 alternative outcomes that you could have arrived at depending on how you performed in the narrative section. There's slight differences between them, right? Like this card will show you where the numbers go for the enemy AI. It'll show you where your starting position can go, and that can vary as well. So your choices can have a lot of those different outcomes. And it could also, in this particular quest, to give some spoilers, you could decide to rest, or you could decide to like check out what that noise is. And if you decided to rest, you could recover some health and be all ready, but you kind of start off in a little disadvantaged position against your enemy. On the flip side, you could decide to check in, and then you end up starting a little bit with a little bit of an advantage, right? But I point all this out to say, because like once after you finish battle, you kind of go back into story to see how you did with the enemy, if you won or not. There's a lot of fail forward in our game. So win or lose, you tend to be able to move forward without having to replay the whole game. But it kind of impacts how much loot you get, or like what you might the spoils that you may take home. And then you'll take that with you to the town, which I'll show you. And I'm excited to show this because like we haven't really showcased the town that much until now, but I think a lot of our artwork and the thinking behind the city is really cool. But yeah, in the town, there's a lot of different options, and how it works is that you get thrown into it and you get a number of town action points, right? So in this case, let's kind of simulate it. We'll start off with 3 town action points. Basically, you and I have to agree on which 3 points of interest we're gonna go to, right? So let's just try it out. Like where would you like to go?
Let's have a look. Let's head on over to Luca's Tea Wagon. Perhaps I'm feeling a little bit thirsty. What's going on at Luca's Tea Wagon?
All right, so I'd find the matching number. So point of interest 5, this one's number 5, and just to read it real quick. So as you near the field, your eye is caught by a merchant wagon parked among the wildflowers. Inside, a large, hulking man bends to look at you through the window. Hello there, care to join me for a spot of mint leaf tea? You gratefully accept and watch as the wagon sways and heaves with the giant man's every move. With thick fingers, he hands each of you a tiny teacup through the window. The sweet flowers that grow here are the key ingredient in many of my blends, he tells you. I also use them to brew a bit of healing ointment that I call sweet balm. I can sell you some for 1 coin per dose if you like. And then here you would open the Vinna Shop 2 envelope if you haven't already. You can see shopping in the exploration rulebook for further information. Your city action is over. I read that part just to point out that like a lot of the rules are printed on the card as you go. Again, with the thinking like, hey, you know, like let's help you jump right in without having to read a bunch of rules first. So you would open the Vinna Shop pack, find the envelope with Luca and his items, right? And so here's the gorgeous man.
Oh, you didn't tell me he was handsome when we went.
Yes. And then here's what he sells. He sells, give you one of these, Sweet Balm cards. And these are items, disposable items, so you can only use it once and then it goes back into the shop. But we can basically choose to buy this or not with the gold that we have, right?
So is this is the story going to take us back to the same city, or are there like new cities to discover along the way?
Yes, well, we for the onboarding experience, we kind of created a tutorial town in the beginning. So this is actually what you're seeing is our tutorial town. It kind of teaches you the basic of city exploration. The big city that you'll explore is called Dinlux, and it's got over 40 points of interest, a lot of different shops and trainers and barkeeps to talk up and stuff like that. So you can even gamble there, but there's a lot of things to check out in that city. And so those are the 2 main cities that you would end up going through. And it's very hub and spoke. You'd kind of like visit the city, go out on an adventure, return with your spoils, and kind of unlock new secrets there.
Cool.
Yeah.
What is your favorite part of Kinfire Chronicles? What's your favorite part of the game?
My favorite part is like probably like, I don't know, maybe it's hokey to say, but like I love the fact that every time I sit down with a new play group, like it feels different. Like again, it's the performance aspect. Like you can play with people that like to play a certain way, and then it becomes a lot more tactical feeling. You can play with other people, and it's just all about the role play and the story and the characters. And you know, like we do, we'll make foolish choices because it's just what the character wants, or you know, it just is the moment. And so those groups can be a lot of fun to play with too. But like for me, I like enjoy the performance aspect of it.
Yeah, we've spoken a lot about the sort of like performance aspect and how the rules kind of like elevate that a little. Can you show me like an example of like some ways in which players can interact in like a sort of role play way that would kind of change the course of how their game went?
Yeah, so like in this one, for example, and you'll see this, we have a Kinfire playthrough series, and they actually play through this quest, so you can see a little bit of it. But like in our skill checks, for example, this one in particular says like, hey, you basically flip over cards, and you're looking for a certain number of red or green cards, right? You're trying to cross a river, and you have 2 choices to make. You can either swim across or jump across. And you can see like if you want to swim, that has to be red. If you want to jump, it has to be green. And so if you look at your character sheets, you can kind of decide, hey, Valora has more green.
Right, got it.
Naz has more red. But you don't have to, right? Like for me, like being Naz, I'm like, well, obviously I have more red, so I should probably swim across. And I've got these like really cool, strong arms. But maybe I'm like, hey, I swam a lot yesterday. My arms are actually sore, so I think I'm going to try jumping across. Is it statistically the best gameplay decision to make? No. But you could try it, and if I've seen people actually win betting on the thing that's not designed for them to do, and it just makes the story so much more interesting. It's like, yep, see, I got it.
All right, perfect. So tell me where we can find out more about Kinfire, like when it's out.
Yeah, Kinfire, we just finished our Kickstarter this last summer. We're planning to ship it out August 2023, world events pending. But yeah, until then, you can pre-order through our BackerKit store. You can just go to kinfirechronicles.com and it'll link you right there. In the meantime, too, you can do a lot of things with us. We have a free virtual demo on Tabletopia for people at home to check out. We have our rule books online. You can join our Discord to find people to play with or ask us, like our whole dev team's on the Discord as well, so you can ask us questions about the game. We also have that playthrough series where you can watch. For the playthrough series, I got some feedback on this. It is not a 6-hour kind of total run through of watching people play the game. That's still important. People still like that. We actually do have that. We worked with a lot of creators to build that. But our Kinfire playthrough series is actually, we took like 8 internet personalities, your Felicia Days, B. Dave Walters, Brian David Gilbert, etc. And we had them learn the game on screen without much help at all, basically. to kind of show what that experience is like so that people at home could really start to imagine that experience. But also selfishly for me, like I've always wanted like simple videos that were 20 minutes long that I could send my normie friends so that they could kind of picture this experience and I could do a little less work having to sell it.
Yeah.
So I just felt like, hey, if they saw people more like them at the table and they can see what this experience can feel like and what the vibe should be like, maybe that gets them interested, right? So that's what the Kinfire playthrough series is, and we're actually going to be wrapping up the final couple episodes hopefully in the next couple of weeks, and we'll announce that soon, but you can check out our YouTube channel and we'll kind of share that content there.
Perfect. I have one final question.
Sure.
I noticed on the back of the box what looked like the sort of like little packs. I think this is adorable. Is this like a sort of like view into who your character is and what they carry around with them?
Yes, exactly. Like this is like, you know, our artists, the idea came from our art team actually, where they're, you know, just thinking of the characters and thinking about like imagining what would Naz carry around with her when she's traveling, right? And so like she's got like little wildflowers because she's very sentimental. She actually was a farmer growing up and just really wanted to be a warrior. She's got her little horn and we're hoping that these little touches and elements just help with the role playing in terms of like helping you to imagine who this character is and kind of embracing the elements that you want to.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right, well, thank you so much for talking us through. Any sort of like final plugs that you want to do just to let people know where they can find everything that they need just before we finish up?
Yeah, so again, kinfirechronicles.com. It'll point you to all the content that we have. We also have a free weekly webtoon series and a bunch of other stuff. A lot to talk about here, but yeah, if you just visit our website, sign up for our newsletter, we won't spam you or sell your data, but we'll stay in touch and yeah, hope you'll check us out.
Perfect. Thank you so much for joining us. If you want to see more from us here on Dicebreaker, then please do stick around. youtube.com/Dicebreaker and Dicebreaker.com as well. We have loads of stuff going on here from PAX Unplugged 2022. Content that's going to be spreading out for the rest of the month as well. So we've got live stuff that we've been putting up as well. If you want to see everything that's happening in tabletop right now, then this is the place to be. Thanks so much for watching. We will see you on the next one. But until then, have a lovely day. Goodbye.
Bye.